Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Huge breaking news out of Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is...
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has abandoned efforts to form a new coalition government.
Benjamin Netanyahu, who many consider as one of the most influential figures in global politics, is an Israeli politician who has been Prime Minister of Israel since 2009. Having previously held the position from 1996 to 1999, Netanyahu is also the chairman of the Likud National Liberal Movement. He is the longest-serving prime minister in Israeli history and the first to be born in Israel after the establishment of the state. Netanyahu was born in Tel Aviv on 21st October 1949 to secular Jewish parents. He was raised in both Jerusalem and the Philadelphia area of Pennsylvania, United States. After graduating from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science, Netanyahu became an economic consultant for the Boston Consulting Group. He moved back to Israel in 1978 to establish the Yonatan Netanyahu Anti-Terror Institute, named after his brother Yonatan Netanyahu, who died leading Operation Entebbe. Netanyahu has a wife, Sarah, a child psychologist. They have 2 children together, Yah and Avna. Netanyahu also has a daughter, Noah, from a previous marriage that ended in 1978. Netanyahu became a team leader in the Sayeret Matkal Special Forces Unit and took part in many missions, including Operation Inferno, 1968, Operation Gift, 1968, and Operation Isotope in 1972, during which he was shot in the shoulder. Netanyahu fought on the front lines in the War of Attrition and the Yom Kippur War in 1973. In 1984, Netanyahu was appointed the permanent representative of Israel to the United Nations by Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir, a role he held until 1988. He was subsequently elected to the Knesset before becoming the leader of Likud in 1993. He then led the party to victory at the 1996 election, becoming Israel's youngest ever prime minister. After being defeated in the 1999 election, Netanyahu left politics, returning to the private sector. Netanyahu returned to leadership of Likud in December 2005 after Sharon stepped to form a new party, Kadima. Although Likud finished second in the 2009 elections to Kadima, Netanyahu was able to form a coalition government with other right-wing parties and was sworn in as prime minister for a second time. He went on to lead Likud to victory in the 2013 and 2015 elections. After the April 2019 election resulted in no party being able to form a government, a second election took place in September 2019. In that election, the centrist Blue and White Party emerged slightly ahead of Netanyahu's Likud. However, neither Netanyahu nor Benny Gantz of the Blue and White Party was able to form a government, and Gantz returned the mandate to the president. Since December 2016, Netanyahu has been under investigation for corruption by Israeli police and prosecutors. On 21st November 2019, he was indicted on charges of breach of trust, bribery, and fraud. Due to the indictment, Netanyahu is legally required to relinquish all of his ministry posts other than the prime minister position. Netanyahu was heavily criticized by human rights activists and even the United Nations for the expansion of illegal Jewish settlements in the West Bank. This has led to the displacement of thousands of Palestinians. Palestinians living under occupation live in constant fear under serious political, economic, and social blockades. Human rights activists and many states have criticized Prime Minister Netanyahu's regime of grave human rights violations, including use of excess military power to conduct unjustified arrests and even sometimes killing of peaceful Palestinian demonstrators. Netanyahu has recently declared the city of Jerusalem as the capital of the nation of Israel in what he termed as a historic moment in Israel.
This is a historic day. Jerusalem has been the capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years. It's been the capital of Israel for nearly 70 years. It was here that our temple stood, our kings ruled, our prophets preached. Jerusalem has been the focus of our hopes, our dreams, our prayers for 3 millennia.
However, the move has angered many pro-Palestinian activists who argued that it was a setback to the realization of peace in one of the longest conflicts in the world.
Jerusalem is a final status issue that must be resolved through direct negotiations between the two parties on the basis of the relevant Security Council and General Assembly resolutions, taking into account the legitimate concerns of both the Palestinian and the Israeli sides.
A decision that France does not approve of and which goes against international law and all the UN Security Council resolutions.
Despite many challenges, Bibi seems to have a strong back and is determined to build his legacy. However, Netanyahu has indeed contributed a lot to the development of the state of Israel, both economically and politically, making sure that they had a say in global settings.